The hunt. Captain Raya Vega stood on the bridge of the Obsidian Fang, her heterochromatic eyes, one golden, one violet, scanning the void beyond the viewport. The modified Kyrillian battle cruiser had served her well through 7 years of successful raids. Its hull, originally a gleaming silver, was now painted the deepest black with only thin purple lines tracing its contours, making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Captain, sensors are picking up a vessel at the edge of the Tethys Nebula. First Officer Drav announced, his four-fingered hands moving rapidly over the console. The Virilian's scaled skin glistened under the bridge lights as he enhanced the image. It's human. Vega straightened, interest peaked. A convoy? No, Captain. It appears to be traveling alone. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Lone human ships had become a curious phenomenon in recent years. Before the Galactic Accords, human vessels had traveled in protective clusters, a sensible precaution for a relatively new spacefaring species. But recently, they'd begun venturing into deep space alone. Specifications, Vega asked, moving to stand behind Drav. Research vessel designation, the ESS Horizon. Minimal armaments, standard shields. Crew complement. Drav paused, rechecking his readings. Difficult to determine. Something's interfering with our bioscanners. Vega's lips curved into a predatory smile. Research vessels carry valuable tech. What's their heading? They appear to be collecting data from the nebula. Their course is steady. No indication they've detected us. Lieutenant Kykes, the ship's tactical officer, a wiry nexoid with reflective eyes, leaned forward. Captain, might I suggest caution? There have been rumors about human ships. Rumors? Vega raised an eyebrow. 3 pirate crews have disappeared in the past standard year. All were last reported pursuing lone human vessels. Vega dismissed the concern with a wave. Coincidence or incompetence? Besides, humans are soft. Their military might be respectable, but they're scientists. She chuckled. They're practically begging to be relieved of their precious cargo. She tapped her neural implant, bringing up tactical overlays in her field of vision. Set intercept course. Engage stealth systems. Let's remind these humans why they used to travel in convoys. The Obsidian Fang slipped through the star-speckled darkness, its advanced propulsion systems barely registering on conventional scanners. Vega had paid handsomely for the stealth technology, stolen from a Centaurian military outpost, but the investment had returned itself tenfold in successful raids. As they closed on the human vessel, Vega studied it through the magnified viewport. The Horizon was an elegant ship, its design emphasizing function over aesthetics. The white hull bore the blue emblem of the Earth Science Directorate, and various sensor arrays extended from its surface like delicate antennae. They haven't altered course or raised shields, Drav reported. They're either oblivious or incompetent. Prepare boarding parties, Vega ordered. I want precision. Disable their engines and communications, but minimize structural damage. Whatever they're researching, I want it intact. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, having performed this operation dozens of times. Kykes programmed the targeted EMP charges that would temporarily disable the human vessel's systems without destroying valuable equipment. Boarding team standing by, announced Sarek, the burly Mantillian who commanded the ship's security forces. His chitinous exoskeleton clicked softly as he checked his disruptor pistol. 3 squads, fully equipped. We'll secure the bridge, engineering, and research sections simultaneously. Vega nodded approvingly. Remember, we want their research data and any prototypes they might be testing. And I want at least a few crew members alive for questioning. The Obsidian Fang closed to striking distance, still undetected by the human vessel. Vega gave the order, and Kiss launched the precision EMP charges. They detonated in silent flashes against the Horizon's hull, and the human ship's exterior lights flickered and died. Direct hit, Kykes reported. Their systems are down. No distress signal detected. Excellent, Vega said. Bring us alongside and deploy the boarding teams. The pirate vessel maneuvered into position, extending docking tubes that latched onto the horizon's airlocks with magnetic seals. Sarek led the first team through, followed by the specialized groups targeting engineering and the research sections. Vega watched through the security feeds transmitted by her boarding team's helmet cameras. The corridors of the horizon were dimly lit by emergency lighting, casting long shadows across pristine white walls. But something felt wrong. "Where is everyone?" she muttered. The boarding teams moved through empty corridors, encountering no resistance. No scientists frantically trying to protect their research. No security personnel mounting a desperate defense. Nothing. "Captain," Sarek's voice came through the comm, tension evident. "We've reached the bridge. It's automated. No crew." "Engineering is the same," reported the second team. "Life support is active, but there's no one here." Vega frowned. "Check the crew quarters, the mess hall. They must be somewhere." "Captain," the third team called in, "we found the research section. You need to see this." The feed from the third team showed a vast chamber occupying what must have been a significant portion of the ship's interior. The walls were lined with transparent cylinders, each containing a swirling, luminescent substance that shifted between colors. "What am I looking at?" Vega asked. "Unknown, Captain. But these containment fields are unlike anything I've seen before. The power requirements must be enormous." Vega tapped her fingers against the command chair, thinking, "Download whatever data you can find. We'll decipher it later." As the boarding team approached the nearest terminal, a subtle vibration ran through the ship. Vega felt it through the docking tube connection. "What was that?" she demanded. "Unknown, Captain," Drav replied, checking his instruments. "But the human ship's power signature just changed. It's increasing." On the security feed, the luminescent substance in the cylinders began to pulse more rapidly, the colors shifting toward deep red. "Captain," the research team leader said, voice suddenly urgent, "these containment fields are failing. Deliberately, I think. The system is initiating some kind of release protocol." "Get out of there," Vega ordered sharply. "All teams, fall back to extraction points immediately." But it was too late. The feed from the research section showed the transparent cylinders opening, the luminescent substance flowing out like liquid but moving with purpose, forming shapes that solidified into humanoid figures. The security feed became chaotic as the team opened fire. Energy weapons discharged with brilliant flashes, but the luminescent beings absorbed the blasts without apparent effect. Then they moved, impossibly fast, toward the boarding team. The last image Vega saw before the feed cut out was a glowing figure reaching toward the camera, its face a featureless mask of swirling light. "Sarek, report." Vega snapped into the comm. No response from any of the teams. "Sever the docking connections," Vega ordered. "Prepare to detach." "Captain," Drav interjected, "our people are still aboard." "And they're already dead," Vega said coldly. "Whatever that ship is carrying, it's not worth the risk. Cut us loose." Before Drav could respond, the ship's systems flickered. Consoles went dark momentarily before rebooting. "What now?" Vega demanded. "Something's accessing our network," the ship's AI specialist, a young Solari named Tendra, reported, her luminous skin paling with alarm. "It's bypassing our security protocols as if they weren't even there." The main view screen activated without command, displaying a human face. The woman appeared to be in her 40s by human standards, with close-cropped silver hair and eyes that held no warmth whatsoever. "Captain Rhea Vega of the pirate vessel Obsidian Fang," the woman said, her voice conversational. "I am Commander Alexander Ellis of the Earth Defense Force Special Operations Division. Thank you for your interest in our research." Vega maintained her composure despite her surprise. "Return my boarding teams, and we might let you live." Ellis smiled slightly. "Your boarding teams are currently being processed. They're contributing to our research in a rather direct manner. On a secondary screen, Vega could see the feeds from the horizon coming back online. The corridors now contained the luminescent humanoids, moving purposefully through the ship. Some were clearly different from others, their forms incorporating elements that looked disturbingly like Mantilian exoskeletons or Varelian scale patterns. "What are those things?" Vega demanded. "We call them photomorphs," Ellis replied, "a fusion of advanced nanite technology and engineered photonic matter. Quite revolutionary. They can absorb and reorganize organic material, incorporating useful genetic attributes into their matrix." Horror dawned on Vega as the implication became clear. "You're using them to consume my people." "Consume isn't quite accurate. Assimilate would be better. Your crew's genetic information and neural patterns are being preserved, after a fashion." Ellis's expression hardened. "Consider it justice for the 11 human vessels your Obsidian Fang has raided in the past 3 years." Vega's mind raced. "Why tell me this? Why not just destroy my ship?" "Because you're going to deliver a message," Ellis replied, "about why human ships now travel alone. The reckoning." The luminescent figures, photomorphs, Ellis had called them, were spreading throughout the horizon, their movements becoming more coordinated with each passing minute. Vega observed with mounting dread as some began to take on characteristics distinctly reminiscent of her boarding teams. "Fascinating, isn't it?" Ellis commented from the view screen. "They learn quickly. Your security chief, Sarek, was it? Had some particularly interesting genetic adaptations. His exoskeletal durability is being incorporated as we speak." Vega's jaw tightened. "You've made your point. Let us withdraw, and I'll spread your message. No more attacks on human vessels." Ellis shook her head. "That's not how this works, Captain. The message needs to be unmistakable." On Vega's command console, a proximity alert flashed. Drav's fingers flew over his terminal. "Captain, 6 vessels just emerged from fold space. Human military configuration." The tactical display confirmed it. 6 Earth Defense Force destroyers had appeared, surrounding the Obsidian Fang in a perfect containment formation. "You see, Captain," Ellis continued, "human ships travel alone because they're never actually alone. Our vessels maintain position in fold space, invisible to conventional sensors, but ready to emerge at a moment's notice." Vega cursed under her breath. The humans had been using their ships as bait, knowing pirates couldn't resist a seemingly defenseless target. "So this is it. You destroy us to send your message." "Not quite," Ellis replied. "The photomorphs are already aboard your vessel." Cold fear shot through Vega. "That's impossible. We severed the docking connections." "They don't need docking tubes, Captain. They can traverse vacuum briefly." "Several entered your ship's maintenance ducts while your boarding teams were still sending back video feeds." As if summoned by her words, the bridge doors slid open. A luminescent figure stood in the doorway, its form vaguely humanoid, but shifting constantly, tendrils of light extending and retracting. The bridge crew reacted instantly. Kykes fired his disruptor, the energy blast passing through the photomorph without effect. The creature surged forward, engulfing the tactical officer in seconds. His scream cut off abruptly as he was absorbed into the pulsing light. "All hands, abandon ship," Vega shouted, drawing her own weapon. "Emergency protocols." But it was already too late. More photomorphs appeared from ventilation shafts and access panels. The bridge descended into chaos as the crew fought futilely against enemies that couldn't be harmed by conventional weapons. Vega backed toward her private escape pod, located behind a concealed panel near her command chair. As she reached it, she saw Drav consumed by one of the creatures, his scaled form disappearing into the luminescent mass. She sealed herself in the pod and initiated launch sequence. The small craft detached from the Obsidian Fang with a jolt, accelerating away from the doomed vessel. Through the pod's viewport, Vega watched as the human military vessels maintained their position, making no move to fire on her ship or to pursue her escape pod. They didn't need to. The Obsidian Fang was already lost. Interesting choice, Captain. Ellis's voice came through the pod's communication system, but ultimately futile. Vega looked down in horror to see a small glob of luminescent material on her boot, slowly spreading up her leg. "We wouldn't want you to miss delivering our message," Ellis continued. The photomorph material crawled up Vega's body, despite her frantic attempts to scrape it off. It didn't hurt, which somehow made it worse. The sense of being consumed without pain, awareness maintained as her physical form was systematically replaced. "Why?" she managed to ask as the material reached her chest. "Necessity," Ellis replied matter-of-factly. "Humanity was vulnerable when we first ventured beyond our solar system. Pirates like you preyed on our ships, stole our technology, killed our people. Conventional military responses proved insufficient. The galaxy is too vast to patrol effectively." The photomorph material reached Vega's neck, cool and tingling against her skin. "So we developed an alternative," Ellis continued. "A defense system that targets only those who attack us, that turns the predator's strength against itself. Poetic, don't you think?" As the material covered Vega's face, her last conscious thought was a realization. The humans had never been prey. They had evolved beyond that, becoming something far more dangerous, predators who appeared vulnerable to lure their enemies close. 3 standard months later, a gathering of pirate captains convened in a secure location deep within the Cygnus Rift. Representatives from 12 major factions sat around a table fashioned from the hull fragment of a legendary warship. "The rumors are true," declared Dorzak, a grizzled Arcturian whose battle scars told the story of decades spent raiding shipping lanes. "The Obsidian Fang is gone. Vega and her entire crew vanished, just like the others," someone muttered. "And yet we have a survivor," Dorzak continued, gesturing to a hooded figure who had remained silent at the edge of the gathering. "Someone who claims to know what happened." The figure stepped forward and lowered its hood. The face was Vega's, but something was wrong. Her heterochromatic eyes now had an unnatural luminescence, and her skin seemed to shift subtly in the dim light. "Not a survivor," the thing wearing Vega's face said, its voice a perfect mimicry of the captain's distinctive contralto. "A messenger." The gathered pirates recoiled as the creature's form began to change, luminescent material breaking through the illusion of flesh. "The humans send their regards," it said as its shape dissolved completely into a swirling mass of light. "And a warning." The photomorph expanded rapidly, tendrils of light reaching for the assembled captains. Panic erupted as they scrambled for weapons or escape, but the doors had been sealed from the outside. Across the galaxy, in her office aboard the Earth Defense Force Headquarters Station, Commander Ellis reviewed the latest reports. The pirate attacks on human vessels had decreased by 78% in the past quarter. The word was spreading. "The photomorph dispatched to the Pirate Council has completed its mission," her aide reported. "All targets neutralized." Ellis nodded, satisfied. "And the new deployment?" "The experimental variant has been successfully installed aboard the Aurora. The science vessel will begin its solo mission through the Carina sector next week." Ellis turned to gaze out at the vast shipyards visible through her viewport, where dozens of vessels were being outfitted with concealed photomorph containment systems. "Schedule a briefing with the Admiralty," she said. "I want to discuss expanding the program. It's time the galaxy understood why human ships travel alone." In the void of space, the ESS Horizon continued its mission, its corridors now populated with photomorphs that had once been pirates. They maintained the ship's systems with perfect efficiency, their collective consciousness transmitting data back to Earth as they awaited the next predator foolish enough to mistake solitude for vulnerability. The message was spreading across the stars. Human ships traveled alone, not because they were weak, but because they had evolved beyond the need for conventional protection. They had become the perfect trap, baited with apparent vulnerability, but harboring a defense mechanism that turned an attacker's strength against itself. And as more pirates disappeared, As more ships returned to port with tales of human vessels that consumed their attackers, the galaxy began to understand a fundamental truth. Sometimes, the most dangerous prey is the one that appears to be alone.